To you, noble students of JC Best Schools International. Welcome to week 5, lesson 2, third term 2019-2020 academic session. I remain your noble teacher, Mr. Oguche Ezekiel. Today's class will be a continuation of the previous class under currency, where we are looking at the history of Nigerian currency. In the last class, we had specific objectives, and the first phase of history of Nigerian currency was actually discussed. Today we'll be looking at the second phase, and on the basis of the objectives, we said that students should be able to define currency, identify the various currencies used in Nigeria over time, then name the dates in which the currencies were introduced. We told you that currency is a medium of exchange for goods and services. So it is with currency that we engage in exchange for goods bought and services rendered. And we said that currency is in form of paper or coin, and it is usually issued by the government and generally accepted at its face value as a method of payment. We told you that the first in the history of Nigerian currency, the trade by barter system was introduced, where goods were exchanged for goods and services, like what we have on the screen. Went further to tell you that the next development of Nigerian currency was the use of cowries. Before the white men came, cowries was one of those currency that was recognized and accepted by our people, and they used it as medium of exchange. Then we talked about the issuance of Nigerian pounds. When the colonial masters, the British authorities came, Nigerian pound became one of the currencies that was adopted in time past, precisely in 1967. Then came the era of shillings, as discussed in the last class, issued in 1968, and we had what we call the 50 kobo that was issued and introduced in 1973. But the 50 kobo, we're told, was taken off the market over time. Over time, it was taken off the market. Then, in the last class, we stopped at the introduction of 1 Naira in 1973 by the Central Bank of Nigeria. And on the screen, we have the 1 Naira note, where the image or portrait of Herbert Macaulay is well represented. I told you that Herbert Macaulay was the grandson of Bishop Ajayi Crowther, the father of Nigerian nationalism, and the first to introduce or establish a political party called Nigerian National Democratic Party, Nigeria NNDP, in 1923. He is often described as the father of Nigerian nationalism. So let's continue from where we stopped, which is exactly this point. The next currency that was introduced in Nigeria is the 5 Naira notes. And the 5 Naira notes, we're told, was first introduced in 1973. And it has the portrait of the first Nigeria's prime minister in the person of Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, the first prime minister of Nigeria. And this man is popularly described as the golden voice of Africa. I've listened to him speak on many occasions on TV, and actually I want to attest to the fact that his voice is actually golden. Tafawa Balewa ruled Nigeria as prime minister between 1960 and 1966 when he was murdered during the first military coup that was led by Major Patrick Chukwuma Kaduna Nziogu. The first military coup took his life, but we honor and recognize him as one of the founding fathers of our dear nation, Nigeria. He's a hero and a patriot. The next currency that was introduced in form of one of the denominations of Nigeria's currency is the 10 Naira notes, and it was issued in 1973. And we have the portrait of Dr. Alvan Ikoku, who was a renowned educator and politician. He's highly respected for his educational theories and academic scholarship. He was good academically, and he was a politician. He made useful contributions to the growth and development of Nigeria. So he has been honored by virtue of the fact that his portrait is on the 10 Naira notes, which is one of Nigeria's currency. Currently, the 10 Naira note is in polymer notes, is in polymer. Just as we have the next denomination of Nigeria's currency, which is the 20 Naira notes. The 20 Naira note was also introduced in 1973, and it has the portrait of General Murtala Mohammed, the one who ruled Nigeria between 1975 and 1976. He was also murdered in a coup plot. An attempted coup led to his demise. He was the person that came after him was General Olusegun Obasanjo. So we honor Murtala Mohammed in one of our denomination, in one of the denominations of our currency, which is the 20 Naira notes. We have the 50 Naira notes, which was also issued in time past, and it has special image or images. Image of the various major tribes in Nigeria, representation of the major tribes in Nigeria. Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, and even the Fulani tribe. All right, these are the major tribes in Nigeria. Sociologists will tell you that there are over 300 ethnic groups in Nigeria, but the major ones are Hausa, Fulani, Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba. So these are representation of these major tribes, showing that Nigeria is a nation of multiple tribes, but we live under the principle of unity in diversity, unity in cultural diversity. So that's exactly why we have that. And you see, the back of this polymer note, this 50 Naira note, is showing people, industrious Nigerians, working hard to earn a living through decent means. Then the 100 Naira notes was first introduced in December 1999, and it has the portrait or picture or image of one of the founding fathers of Nigeria in the person of Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Chief Obafemi Awolowo was a nationalist, a renowned and respected nationalist of our dear nation, Nigeria. He was a former premier of the Western region, the old Western region of Nigeria, and he was the leader of the opposition party named Action Group. Action Group was one of the earliest political parties in Nigeria that emerged from a socio-cultural group named Egbe Omo Oduduwa. Pupils, can you pronounce that? Egbe Omo Oduduwa, which means descendants of Oduduwa. So he led that action group, which was actually an opposition party in the earliest stage of Nigeria's history. You see, so the man is highly respected in the history of Nigeria, that we had to put his portrait on the 100 Naira note as a mark of honor and respect for his contribution and recognition of his contribution to nationhood. This man is also known, I wish to add that he has been recognized as the first to introduce free education in Nigeria, precisely in the Western region, when he was premier of that region. All right? Then we have what we call the 200 Naira note, which was introduced in year 2000. That's about, how many years today? About 20 years now. Introduced in year 2000. It shows the portrait of one of our founding fathers in the person of Sir Abubakar, Sir Ahmadu Bello. Ahmadu Bello was the Sultana of Sokoto, premier of the old Western region, northern region, and he was also the leader of one of the earliest political parties named Northern People's Congress, formed in 1951. The back of the 200 Naira notes shows bags of agricultural produce, fruits, vegetables, cattle, and livestock farming. This probably refers to those early days when we adopted the trade by barter system, or it showcases the fact that Nigeria is a country that is rich in agriculture. All right? We have arable lands, fertile lands, so that if we decide to diversify our economy fully and concentrate fully on agriculture as one of the main source of foreign exchange, we will do very well. After all, before oil was discovered in Nigeria, Nigeria relied on agriculture, and we're doing very well. So if we decide to focus our attention on agriculture, Nigeria's economy will grow. So that's why you have all this agricultural produce represented there on the 200 Naira note, the back of the 200 Naira note, to show that Nigeria can do well if we decide to rely on agriculture. The next denomination of Nigeria's currency is the 500 Naira note, which was introduced in year 2001, and it has the portrait of Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, popularly referred to as the Zik of Africa. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe was an intellectual and the first ceremonial president of Nigeria between 1960 and 1963 or thereabouts. He was one of the premier of the old Eastern region, and he has contributed immensely to nationhood in Nigeria. He was one of those that fought for the independence of our country, and in recognition of his numerous contributions to nationhood, he has been recognized and his portrait engraved in the 500 Naira note. On the back of the 500 Naira note, we have the picture of an offshore oil. Why not have the picture? After all, Nigeria is known for oil, huge production of oil. We are one of the largest producers of oil around the world, and so we've decided to showcase or advertise that wealth, natural resources we have precisely in south Nigeria. As it stands today, the main source of foreign exchange and the mainstay of Nigeria's economy is the oil. So that sector is significant and important to Nigeria. That's why it is represented on the 500 Naira notes. Then we have the highest denomination of the Naira, which is the 1,000 Naira note. The 1,000 Naira note is the highest denomination, and it was introduced in 2005. You see the 1,000 Naira note. Back of the 1,000 Naira note, we have the CBN, building of the Central Bank of Nigeria. All right? This 1,000 Naira note, like I said, is the highest denomination we have in the history of Nigeria. Also, the 1,000 Naira note is the only Nigerian banknote that has the engraved portraits of two prominent Nigerians. Who are those prominent Nigerians? Number one, we have Alhaji Aliu Meiboronu and Dr. Clement Isong. These prominent Nigerians were the first and second indigenous governors of the Central Bank of Nigeria. The back shows the picture of CBN, as we said earlier on, which is the head, which is Nigeria's corporate head office. It is the corporate head office of the Apex Bank, located in Abuja, Nigeria. So these two prominent figures were the first and second governors of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Right? Thank you, dear pupils. By the special grace of God, we've come to the end of today's class, and I have a very special assignment for you. Of course, the assignment remains the same. State 3 disadvantages of trade by barter system. State 3 disadvantages of trade by barter system. Please remember the various denominations of the Nigerian currency. By way of recap, please recall that our currency is called Naira and Kobo, and we have various denominations. At present, it ranges from the 5 Naira notes, the 10 Naira notes, and so on and so forth, till we have the highest denomination, which is the 1,000 Naira. Remember those denominations when they were introduced in Nigeria, and the prominent Nigerians represented whose portraits were inscribed on the various denominations. That's very, very important. I'm sure you remember the trade by barter system, where goods were exchanged for goods. Would you prefer Nigeria throwing away our currency and going back to the trade by barter system? Certainly the answer is no. If the answer is no, it means there are certain problems associated with the trade by barter system. Mention those problems. What are those disadvantages of the trade by barter system? Just outline 3 and send to the Google Classroom. Thank you so much, dear pupils, for listening. I really appreciate you. Until I come your way next time, remain blessed and stay safe. God bless you.